Good evening. Are you sick of the so-called warning letters by the government to Twitter? Twitter seems to take it as love letters by a person who's not interested in it and throws it in the dustbin. I'm sorry I have to say this. Twitter is seemingly ignoring the strong warnings, the strong communication of the government of India, taking it, throwing it in the dustbin, and sometimes removing the verification of the Vice President of India, sometimes from the Sangh leadership, and now is blocking the account of the minister concerned with Twitter. That's what it's doing. And I have come to discuss the entire law so that there is nothing left in your mind as a doubt. I am also on Times Now at 9 p.m. and Republic on Arnab's debate at 10 p.m., though the 10 p.m. debate is on UPA and Delhi riots issues. 9 p.m. is on Twitter. So what they are saying now, let me explain what the Twitter is saying, or the people who support Twitter are saying. You know, there were people in India who supported East India Company. I think people who support Twitter are the same mindset logic people who used to support East India Company. What they are saying is there is a copyright law in US. Under that copyright law, Twitter was given instructions or a notice and they took action. You know what my answer to that is? Bull. I do not want to get into the rabbit hole of discussing US law versus Indian law, extraterritoriality of laws, the application of municipal laws over international laws, because that, I think, is deviating from the debate. So when I'm on TV, I will not do that. But here, I will explain that law also to you, and I will tell you why this entire debate on copyright is a complete waste of time. What Indian government needs to do is something very different. But for your knowledge, I will explain the law. If you are joining for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, join live. Sometimes I do take your questions. Okay. So now what is the law? Law is that if there is a copyright violation in US, you tell the medium, that is Twitter or any other medium, and they take that video down or they suspend the account depending on the violations and different companies, right? Indian law is different. Indian law is, I think, a much better law. Rule 4, subclause 8 of Indian law. Let me bring out it on the screen also, since you will understand. And for you also, you all use social media, right? So you should know this law, because if you are putting some song or some video or anything which is copyright issues, you should know the Indian law. US law is they tell them without any notice to the person who has used it, the account holder basically. Under US law, it's done. But in India, it is here. 8 subclause A says, ensure that prior to the time at which such intermediary removes or disables access, that is locking the account, ensure prior to the time is the word. It provides the user who has created, uploaded, shared, modified, etc., 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 with the notification explaining the action being taken and ground for such action. So one difference between US and Indian law, you have to explain with the notification the reason for an action being taken. One. Second, ensure the user, again the same terms of law, created, uploaded, modified, blah, 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 blah. Ensure that user has an adequate and reasonable opportunity. In law, every word has significance. He has an adequate and reasonable opportunity to dispute the action being taken. And this dispute be decided in a reasonable time. For this, you will need to have an intermediary here, a grievance officer here, a redressal system here. So that's the Indian law. Before they take action on you, inform you, give you adequate and reasonable time to explain your actions. After you explain your actions, they should decide in time. And to do all this, you need a grievance officer here. Now you remember the earlier dispute going on, where they were not appointing chief compliance officer, grievance officer, etc. Well, that's the law. Now, forget the law for a second. because that is a debate which is bogging you down from the real issue. I believe what is at the heart. The law also says if an Indian user, that is the minister or you, an Indian user tweets something in India, obviously Indian law will apply, not US law will apply. Extraterritoriality of laws. What is the jurisdiction of laws? That's one point. So Indian law will apply. But I'm not even still not going to argue on that. Second part. What is a copyright violation and what is a fair use? You know what is fair use? A public comment, you can take some brief portions to make a point. Like if I'm doing a video here and I find a brief clip of Arvind Kejriwal, Prime Minister Modi, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, Chief Minister any Naveen Patnaik, or a sports star Sachin Tendulkar, I can take that 5-10 second. And usually it depends on how long my video is. Supposing I'm speaking for 1 hour, I can take maybe longer clips because that is fair use and a public comment. That means I'm doing something for which it is a fair use. That is again an intellectual property law. So what is a violation if a minister posts his own tweet, own statement to a media house? Is that violation or not? That fair use also. But that is also not relevant. This all I'm explaining to you because you should understand the law. But to me, none of this is relevant. US law is not relevant. Fair use law is not relevant. Municipal jurisdictions is not relevant. To me, what is relevant is national security of India. I see this entire debate in the terms of national security of India. Today, you suspend, block the account of the law minister. Tomorrow, will you do it to our defense minister? To our prime minister? He could be from any party. That is the question. And what is the action Indian government is taking? Those are the things I think which is the real debate. And in this, I am sorry, I have to ask you this question. Is the government only going to issue love letters? Or is the government going to take action? This has been a month now. February, you brought the rules, but that toolkit, manipulated toolkit thing happened a month ago. And somebody tell me the date, I've forgotten the date. Month ago, it seems like a month ago. And then and there I told you, including in a written editorial in Navbharat Times, that if Twitter decides what is manipulated, what is not, it is not a platform, it is an editor, it has to face the civil law of India, criminal law of India, even copyright law of India. If it is not an intermediary for any copyright violation, also Twitter is responsible. All laws of India, various laws, intellectual property laws, it have to face all of that. It's been a month of that now. What have you done? Are we going to get beyond love letters into action? Or are we going to stay at love letter and say, बहुत गलत है, खेद व्यक्त करते हैं, कड़ी निंदा करते हैं, अफसोस जताते हैं, ट्विटर मस्ट ओबे करते हैं, ट्विटर में ओबे करते हैं, ट्विटर विल ओबे करते हैं, या वी विल डू समथिंग? That is the question. And I always lean towards that the government will do something because it's in the government's own interests. Tomorrow UP elections are coming. What if they block Yogi Adityanath's account? As a chief minister, they block his account. What happens then? It's a very serious question. Right? And you know the propaganda would be a foreign company blocked his account and that will be told to people as if he is some grave, a person who is so much in the wrong, that's why a foreign company did it. And some Indians will believe that propaganda. Why are you giving the power to that company to do it? That is the question. Can Twitter be sued in US? No. Because the US laws is benefiting the US. The US law says that if the company is based, YouTube, Twitter, the servers are based there, they will have to apply the US law. We have to have our strong laws to stop that, no? Why would US mind Twitter applying US law? They would want it. I will not mind Indian law being applied all over the world. Doesn't happen, but I won't mind it. So why would US courts bother about it? They are happy, they are benefiting. When East India Company was in India, they were doing such gross violations in India of human rights. You think UK courts were bothered? They were not bothered. Same way, why would US courts be bothered? Again, you're asking a solution in US. But yeah, you have a parliament. You have 303 MPs. What for? Please, you do the solution, na? You do the solution. What do you have these numbers for? What is the solution now? So these are the three solutions I have come to discuss. And if you don't do that, then do one thing. Just admit Twitter is stronger. Finish the topic. Finish the topic. Twitter is stronger. Twitter is God. Twitter is human rights. Twitter is deciding freedoms in India. Stop the letters, yaar. Stop the letters. Admit. मान जाओ ना. नहीं करना तो मान जाओ. मुद्दा तो खत्म करें. मान जाओ. That much we can do. We can't keep dragging the issue. No, it's been a month plus. Twitter without notice. Indian law again. I say Rule 4, subclause 8 says with notice. They do it without notice. What is your action? Is it going to be Kadi Ninda or is it going to be a decisive action? If it is not going to be a decisive action, just admit. Just admit. And this is not about, again, I say BJP or in Congress. This is about Indian government. It's an Indian minister. It's an Indian minister. This is about the Indian government. That is the question, which should be foremost in your mind. So the three solutions in brief we have to go towards. First, fix accountability. And fixing accountability in Twitter. Twitter came to Indian Parliament. Some Indian officers went there and said, we obey our internal rules. And we have no power to change those rules. Twitter India effectively has no power to change the policy of Twitter because Twitter Global decides the policy. So when the policy is decided by Global, why is Jack Dorsey not summoned by the Parliament? And if it doesn't come before the Parliament, you know the powers of the Parliament. Take appropriate action. We are a sovereign Parliament. Take appropriate action. And I think all Indians will support that. Bring the person who can make the decision. What is the point? If you are talking with a person who can't make the decision, that is the employees in India, what are you talking them with? What the heck are you talking with them for? What purpose is it going to serve? What purpose is it going to serve? Right? So call the person who can serve the purpose. It's as simple as that. When you have to sign a contract, you have to buy a property. You after a discussion, the paper is signed by the owner of the property, no? Because the owner can decide. Why would you discuss with owner's friend who has no power? The final deal is with that person. Call him. Call Jack Dorsey. And it's not a new thing. US Parliament does it multiple times. Congress does it separately. Senate does it separately. Multiple times. Why aren't you doing it? So solution 1 is bring the accountable person. Solution 2. Oh yeah, I wasn't taking questions, Abhi, but this is a good point. PFI, given blue tick by Twitter. Exactly. So bring him, ask him, what is your policy that you are giving PFI a blue tick? It's a very simple request to have, no? Not a problem. No issues? Or is it? Second, immediately as a warning, stop giving what I call love letter. They blocked you for 1 hour. You are government of India. Proportionately, you should block them for 1 month. Mat karo. Proportionately, you should block them for 1 week. Mat karo. Be generous. Block them for 1 day in India. You do not block a minister of India for even 1 minute. Block them for 1 day. Simple. No discussions, no arguments, no nothing. 1 day, no Twitter in India. That's the second step that you must take. Right? Now let me come to the third step, which is the deep solution. A lot of times we have the problem we don't do deep solutions. We need to do deep solutions. We need to bring an ordinance, whichever way you want to define that ordinance. And with that ordinance, we make it clear that for every violation, there will be liability of Twitter India employees in India and the company in India. In check bouncing cases, there is liability of directors who are in charge of the daily affairs, right? That happens in check bouncing 138 cases, right? There are various laws which fix liability on the people in charge of the affairs of the company. Bring that law for social media which does not comply with the Indian laws. Treat them like any other company where the people in charge of the affairs or departments would be personally liable. And if the Twitter wants to leave India, then let them. If they want to operate in India, they have to operate as per Indian laws and face the music. Because end of the day, how many times will we be so passive? How many times will we take it lying down? I'm sorry, I'm an aggressive person. I believe in solutions. And after 1 month, more than a month, February, this thing started. So you should do that. You should do that. So these are my 3 solutions. And now I will take some questions. If you're joining for the first time, do subscribe, do ask questions. Where I'm 9 p.m. on times now. So I will just take solutions for 2-3 minutes. Suspend Twitter for 3 months. I think just do a message. Do it for 1 day at least. You can weekend trend. Why? No point. I am not in favor of that. See, when the use trend, the purpose of trending something is to create awareness on the issue. Right? It's very important to create awareness, build pressure. Very important. But now, the government gets its own account locked. What awareness do you have to create? The government is already aware. Now it's for them to take action. Why should you make your effort, waste your energy on trending this? Go work, earn money, do a social cause, do charity, help people in need. This will be a waste of your time. Don't waste your time. Trends are vital to highlight issues, to build public pressure. This issue is highlighted. This is a national security threat. And in that issue, I will not suggest you wasting your time trending. Okay. Can we please have Dr. Swamy on the channel? Dr. Swamy comes on the channel very often. Sir, what is happening in the... Yes, Twitter has to attend the summons. There is no protection. In the sense, they will be doing it virtually. The investigative officer would be asking questions virtually. That's the order of Karnataka High Court. And if need be, they may summon him physically if something more comes up, or they may go there themselves. So obviously, they'll have to cooperate in the investigation. There is no other point. Yeah. So that is it. But we must, and last thing I will say is, any company operating in India, we must make them comply to Indian rules. Otherwise, they get a free run. And to all the people who say, leave Twitter, don't be on Twitter, don't do this, you have to spread your message. You can't, Indian government can't disappear from Twitter. Either Twitter should disappear from India or make it comply with the law. Disappearing, Indian government leaving it is weak responses, very weak responses, doing nothing for you. Your strong responses, either Twitter goes or it obeys the law. If you leave and you go, how is that a strong response? That's no response. It's simple as that. So please do a talk on Tamil Nadu CM. I haven't seen the statement, I'm sorry. I haven't noticed the statement. Anything the government does. I don't care. Even if they're going it on purpose, make them obey the law or get lost. What is the purpose? Some international people will shout or scream, fascism, no freedom of speech. That they anyways do. that they anyways do. So what is the point? What is the logic? I don't see any logic in that. There's no issue. Understood? Anyways, see you. Take care. Tomorrow, I will be with Suchita Dalal on the Stock India. Is Twitter behaving like a leftist? It is extreme left. It is extreme left. Jack Dorsey's own statement to CNN 2018. Google it. Google 2018 Jack Dorsey left-leaning bias of his employees. He himself says it. So it's not for me to say. When he himself says it, what's the dispute? Okay, chalo. Bye bye. Take care. Good night.